Jai Janendra, everyone. On this auspicious occasion of DasLakshan Mahaparva, today is Uttam Tyaag Dharma, day 8. This entire series was about introduction to DasLakshan Mahaparva. We started with then day 1, day 2, Uttam Shama, Uttam Mardhav, Arjav, and today is the 8th day, which is Uttam Tyaag Dharma. In the previous lectures, we have learned about the significance of DasLakshan Mahaparva. What is dharma? What is the significance of dharma? Are there 10 lakshan of dharma or are there 10 different dharma? All these questions have been answered during our previous sessions. Also, we have learned that in the absence of four kashayas lead to Uttam, Shama, Mardhav, Ajav respectively, followed by Swarup to other dharma lakshan as well. So today is the eighth virtue, which is Uttam Tyaag Dharma, and very privileged to have Dr. Pallavi Di here with us, who is a part of JEEV facility team. She was also into the other lectures as well before. You must be listening from her on JEEV portal, and today she is here to deliver this virtue, significance of Uttam Tyaag Dharma. And now I would request you to start your discourse. Please. You are on mute. You are on mute.
Sorry. Jai Jinendra. Let us start with Mangalacharan. Namo Arhantanam. Namo Siddhanam. Namo Airiyanam. Namo Vachayanam. Namo Love Savasa Unam. मङ्गलं भगवान् वीरो मङ्गलं गौतमो गणी मङ्गलं कुन्दार्यो जैनधर्मो स्तु मङ्गलम् सर्वमङ्गलमाङ्गल्यं सर्वकल्याणकारकम् प्रधानं सर्वधर्माणां जैनं जयतु शासनं जैनं जयतु शासनम्. Jai Shinendra, everyone. As we arrive on this auspicious milestone of Uttam Tyaag, we have discussed about sacred virtues of the soul during the Dashlakshan Parva, and this is a very profound milestone, the virtue of supreme renunciation. Let me just share the slide here. Thank you. Is the slide visible, Harshalji?
Yes, it is visible. You
Thank
can
you.
make it full screen. Yeah.
Sure. Now, the word renunciation means to cast aside, give up, to get rid of, discard, and leave. Tyag means to let go of material possessions, desires, and attachments that bind us to the cycle of birth and death. In Tattvartha Sutra, Acharya Umaswami has stated the first aphorism as Samyak Darshan Nyan Charitrani Mokshamarga, which means the trinity of right belief, right knowledge, and right conduct together constitute the path of liberation. And right conduct is impossible without renunciation. So, Uttam Tyag is the core of right conduct because without renunciation of attachment, no matter how many vows one takes, austerities, self restraint, practices, rituals, or even meditation one indulges in, this cannot lead us to liberation. So, Uttam Tyag is the backbone of spiritual discipline as it transforms external practices, external discipline into internal purity. Renunciation is a supreme, essential virtue for spiritual progress as it leads to detachment from all worldly pleasures, freedom from karmic bondage, and liberation of the soul. So the question arises, what does one renounce on Uttam Tyaag Day? External possessions, family, wealth, comfort, status, food, cars, clothes. That's not it. Internal possessions such as delusion, attachment, aversion, anger, pride, deceit, and greed. By renouncing the external possessions, it helps us cultivate a, a mindset, a life of a minimalist, where we can focus on the spiritual upliftment and the spiritual progress over material accumulations. And letting go of the internal passions helps us to overcome our inner obstacles and achieve purity and peace. Uttam Tyag is far more than material renunciation. It's the conscious, the courageous act of detaching the soul from anything and everything that keeps it bonded in the life cycle of birth and death. So you see how Uttam Tyag is not necessarily just abandoning external things, but it calls for a mindset of detachment, where one understands that the impermanence, the transience of all worldly things, of all material things in mundane world is realized. And this enables to live us a life of simplicity, a life of contentment. Uttam Tyag fortifies ahimsa, which is non-violence, and aparigraha, which means uh, minimizing our possessions, non-possessiveness. The annihilation of all attachments and aversions, coupled with the complete engrossment in the self. That is supreme renunciation. When the soul knows itself, the attachment towards all the external substances naturally fades away. Just like when a little lamp is lit, the darkness in that room vanishes in the very same moment. We do not have to do anything to get rid of that darkness. Just that lamp is enough. Similarly, when one attains self realization, samyak darshan, when the soul knows its true self, automatically in the same very moment, the attachment towards all external substances fades away, and that is renunciation. Now, renunciation at the highest level is done by our ascetics, our Muniraj, who have not just left their home, their family, all their belongings, but also their internal passions. So, external possessions are all renounced, internal passions are renounced, and now they are deeply engrossed in the pure soul. And that allows for true freedom. And hence they are known as supreme renunciators. It is said that a person's strength is not measured by the amount of wealth one accumulates, but by that which is renounced. And in that measure, our Muniraj, our ascetics, are the richest. Now just wonder, if Bharat Chakravarti renounced 96,000 wives, would he be a greater renouncer? And Mahavira had no wives, so would he be a smaller renouncer? That is not to be, because it's not just the external possessions, but the internal passions, and more so ever, it is the attachment within that is to be renounced. There are two paths as shown in our Jain scriptures. One is for the code of conduct for ascetics, and the other is the code of conduct for householders. Charity or dan is an important aspect of code of conduct for householders. Just as the ocean can never be filled by the water of all the rivers in the world, fire can never be satisfied by all the fuel in the world. Similarly, our desires can never ever be satiated. The more we have, the more we want. And very soon there's a plethora of desires that flares up. This only leads to discontent and more discord in our life. So, Tyag is the only way of self restraint to overcome our endless cravings for freedom, for regaining control over our senses, and in the real sense, to attain self mastery. Because In the mundane world, we are only slaves of our senses. And to gain self restraint and renounce the sense pleasures is what is self mastery. And that also brings us immense willpower. So, Tyag is all about raising your self mastery from mastery of the five senses to soul mastery to raising our willpower within. Now, spreading the tenets of Jainism, sharing scriptures to our uh, um, uh, fellow mates, as well as uh, offering the Pichi and Kamandalu, which are the symbols of discipline and compassion for our ascetics, and offering scriptures to our ascetics. All these are Uttam Tyaag from the conventional, from the empirical, or from the Vyavahar aspect. But, however, the purity within that arises from letting go, renunciation of all the external possessions, all the internal passions, including the attachment to all of them. That is the absolute or Uttam Tyag from the Nishchay point of view. And our Muniraj are called Nirgrantha. Granth is a knot, so they have no knots in their mind of attachment. All their bondings have shattered away. That is Uttam Tyag. So here we go. When I realize that all attachments are alien to my true nature, I let go of every possession and immerse in the self, discovering the freedom of supreme renunciation. So essentially, renunciation, Uttam Tyag, is a way to freedom. Freedom of your mindset, freedom from the cycle of birth and death. Now, the soul's true nature prevents it from either owning or renouncing any external substances. There's a supreme potential in all our souls, and that is called Tyag Upadan Shunyatva Shakti. It is like an aha moment when you realize that my soul has this infinite potential, and so have all the other souls in the universe with this infinite potential. Look at what one we can attain by knowing this, realizing the true nature. The soul perceives its attachments as alien dispositions and renouncing them instantly. There's a beautiful example in Samaysar Shastra, and it is there's a person who's got a blanket, a chadar, it's a quilt, and he gives it to his dhobi for a wash. And he gets it after a few days, and he's sleeping snug in bed with his blanket over his head. And there's a knock at the door, and when he goes and sees, he is astounded to find someone carrying a similar blanket. And they say, "I think you've got my blanket by mistake." And he goes, "How can you say this with so much conviction?" And then he shows him a little tag, a little mark on the blanket. The very moment he knows this is not his, it does not belong to him, while he is still holding the blanket, yet the attachment of the blanket is not there anymore. And that is the beauty of knowledge. Hence, true knowledge is renunciation. Said, Gyan hi pratyakyan hai. A very, very powerful statement, because renunciation happens only in the realm of true knowledge. A person might be very, very rich, very, very busy in their mundane life. And this busyness also becomes a burden when you're attached to everything. We see a prince here um, who is breaking down the shackles of attachment through meditation. We are all attached, and look how he's breaking down the shackles to the palace, to his throne, to his riches. So, initially, everything belongs to me, first in the mind and then in reality, and then only through meditation, only through self realization, it dawns upon us that in reality, only I am the pure soul and nothing belongs to me. That is the power of Gyan. Hence, it is said, Gyan hi pratyakyan hai. Knowing and believing that the knowledge of the self is known as pratyakhyana. believing that the external and internal possessions are my own. It's the ownership of possessions that needs to be renounced because real renouncement takes place. Real renouncement only takes place in the realm of one's knowledge. Hence, ज्ञान ही प्रत्याख्यान है, ज्ञान ही प्रत्याख्यान है. The discriminative knowledge of the self, that is known as pratyakhyan, that is tyag, that is renunciation, and that is engrossment in the pure soul. To know the self and the non self just as they are. The body has been housing the soul since time immemorial in different states, but knowing that the body and the soul are two distinctly different substances, that is the knowledge that must dawn upon a person. The wisdom of discernment that I am a pure soul, distinctly different from attachment, from aversion, along with engrossment in oneself. So there's three things that are happening here. One, external detachment to all substances, all material wealth, all matter. Internally, there's detachment from all passions. And the most important, this happens only because one is engrossed in the pure soul. That is the power of the pure soul. And that is renunciation. That is the giving away of attachment. Hence, that is renunciation. The renunciation of rag is tyag. Let's take a beautiful example of oil and water placed together in a bowl. The oil and water are in the same container, yet the water is distinctly separate from the oil at all times. They are together, yet they are separate. How beautiful is that? Similarly, the soul and the body are separate. It's not just that I am not my belongings, I am not my home, not my car, I am not my body, I am not my thoughts, I am not my emotions, I am not even the auspicious or inauspicious dispositions, which are the Shubha and Shuddha Bhav. I am not these. And to go a step further, I am not even the modifications, the modes, or states of the infinite attributes within me. I am not even the paryay. I have been transmigrating through 8.4 million different different yonis, different places of birth, yet I always stay a pure soul. I am safe and secure as a pure soul, even during my journey of transmigration since time immemorial. How much freedom is there in knowing that I am not what I have been, I am not what I have been thinking. Only one who is deluded by the ego of doing, of doership, that I do for my body, I do for my family, my society, my country, my nation, and the never ending list continues. This, he is ignorant of the nature of the soul. He is sucked under the burden of doership and to realize the true nature of a substance. Vastu Swarup ka gyan, the knowledge of fundamentals, is all that is required to destroy ignorance, which is the root cause of all misery in our life. Things, people, circumstances cannot cause happiness or misery to us. It's only how we are attached to them that is the reason for all misery. And we see here there is no real attachment. It's only through our thoughts. It's asakti, just feeling of oneness. I, me, my, the doership. That's where all the suffering comes up. All the substances are independent of each other. When the nature of the soul is to be free, how can I renounce that which I have never possessed? Nature of the soul is neither to do rag nor to renounce rag. I am only a knower and a seer. That takes off all the burden of doership from each one of us. The moment there is rag, there is no tyag because rag and tyag cannot coexist together. Without Bhed Vigyan, without the wisdom of discernment, only rag exists. And one who thinks that I am attached, attachment is my very nature, can never ever renounce rag. Rag can only be destroyed by staying engrossed in the soul. And that alone is Uttam Tyaag. This takes us from a journey of being a victim of being attached to so many things, to a journey of self discovery, a journey of victorship. Without self realization, without samyak darshan, and without experience of the soul, there can never be renunciation. The outward focused souls, we are too busy accumulating things, hoarding onto things, and attaching to those things in the first half of our life. And later, when you feel the burden of possessions, then we get further busy of renouncing things. So the journey has been still one of busyness with accumulating and then renouncing. However, only one with right belief, only the one who realizes, I am neither the rag, I am neither the one who attaches to things, neither am I the one who renounces to things. I am purely a knower and seer. Where there is rag, there is no gyan. Because rag and gyan are two totally different entities, they would never coexist together. Jnani is without the doership of external actions. All they do is merely knowing and saying. When one focuses on the swa, the self, there is naturally detachment from everything that's away from you. Let's take a beautiful example for Tyagupadan Shunyatva Shakti about how sugar is always sweet, lemon is always sour, water is cool, and fire is hot. Now, we do not need to add anything to either the sugar or the lemon or the fire or the water. Neither we need to remove anything for them to maintain, to sustain in their natural state. Similarly, we have always been free of attachments. I have been free in the past, am free now, and will continue to do so in the future. Ha, what a sigh of relief this is, because I am no longer bonded by all the things that I have been thinking were mine. There is so much, such a sigh of relief, and so much pleasure in knowing that I finally don't have to do anything. All I need to do, all the purusharth, all the efforts that need to be taken are only to come within. And that's when all the attachments in the mind are going to be shattered away. Such a sigh of relief that is. How did I not know that before? Because I never knew who I was. The soul has been in this journey of transmigration since time immemorial. Yet the soul knows everything on the outside, yet this journey of self mastery, journey to dive deep within, will only begin once one knows the nature of the self. Now, Tyag and Dan are often used as synonyms, interchangeably used. However, they both are distinctly different in their depth, in their intention, and also in their spiritual significance. While Tyag is practiced by ascetics, the one who renounce things not just on the outside, the inside as well, the external possessions, internal passions, and the attachment is all renounced by our ascetics, whereas Dan is practiced by householders. There's letting go or giving up of one's external substances in Tyag. However, in donation, it's giving away. Look how there's the giving up versus giving away of one's possessions. One does not require ownership of the object for renunciation, whereas we must own something that is being donated. Now, look, the difference is one focuses on detachment, self discipline, whereas donation focuses on charity, on generosity. One might still donate what they have, yet be attached to what has been given. That's how they both are distinctly different. Tyag is done of things that are harmful, that are not good, disadvantageous to you, such as delusion, attachment, aversion, whereas donation is done of things that are advantages, that are beneficial to you and to others. While Tyag is an independent activity, it's done by you, for your own benefit. Whereas Dan is dependent. There's at least two people, the donor and the recipient. And yes, the thing that needs to be given away, the thing that needs to be donated. And so donation or dan is a dependent activity, while tyag is a passionless activity of the soul. This is the main difference. While this is the passionless activity of the soul, hence tyag is dharma because it leads one to liberation. Whereas donation is out of an auspicious disposition. It is out of Shubha Bhav, and one is attached. One is there is an influx and bondage of auspicious karmas on doing that, and hence that is only an auspicious activity which will still keep one in the cycle of transmigration because that is only punya karma, just the auspicious karmas, the fruition of which will be name or fame or luxuries in this birth and all the other future births. While Tyag is Nishchay Dharma or the absolute Dharma because of the benefit of the self and the getting rid of bondage, Dan is Vyavahar Dharma. It's only from the conventional point of view because we are doing good for others and, of course, good for ourselves because there's bondage of Punya Karma, the fruit of which is again only luxuries or comforts. Now, while Tyag is done of external substances, internal passions, Dan is mainly of tangible external substances. There is still attachment in Dan, while we saw Tyag mainly focuses on the detachment. So, Dan is the beginning of spiritual generosity, whereas Tyag is the culmination of internal purity. While Tyag is done of harmful substances, there's four types of Dan: the dan of food, the charity of food, charity of medicines, charity of life, or the gift of life, or the fearlessness for a living being, and also the charity of uh, the life as well as the charity of scriptures or the charity of Gyan. And now let's see who we know are famous or renowned in all these four charities. King Shreyans, who is known as the founder of the path of charity, the founder of the Dan Tirth, because he offered sugarcane juice to Muni Rishabdev after over a year of fasting. And we all celebrate that day as Akshay Tritiya. So he was the initiator of the path of charity, of food, Ahar Dan as it is called. Then we have Aushad Dan, and Sri Krishna is very renowned as he was bonded, as he had the fruit of the Tirthankar Nam Karma, the most auspicious Nam Karma, because he, out of pure compassion, he had given medicines for a Muniraj and to try to heal the Muniraj, to protect the Muniraj. So the fruit of this is which he is going to be a future Tirthankar. Then we have our most renowned and most revered Acharya Kunda Kunda, who was known for giving the gift of knowledge, the dan of knowledge of scriptures. He offered a scripture to a Muniraj, and he found that scripture in the hollow of a tree which was burning down in a forest. The entire forest had burned down except that this hollow of the tree where the scripture was safe and secure. The fruit of this was Acharya Kunda Kunda was endowed with divine wisdom in the next birth, where he took birth as Acharya, where he took birth as Kondesh. And then he became Acharya and he wrote 84 scriptures. That is the power of Gyandan, of Shastradan. And for Abhaydan, the gift of fearlessness, the gift of life, the gift out of compassion, King Meghrat is well known and famous because he chose to sacrifice himself for the protection of a pigeon. So these are the stories. A quick view of the stories of the four people who are renowned in Ahardan, Aushadan, Shastradan, and Abhaydan. Now, DasLakshan Parva is a time to renounce. During this holy Parva, we fast, we forgive, we introspect, we reflect. And these are not just mere rituals, these are all tools for renunciation. So I would urge each one of you to ask yourself today, what habit can I let go of? Which emotion am I still clinging down to? Can I renounce even one possession or even one passion, a desire or an attachment today? Every small step taken in Uttam Tyaag with the right bhavna, with the right intention, becomes a giant leap in karmic purification. Let's take this example of a tunnel that needs to be dug through a mountain. Now, if we want to make a tunnel through a mountain, we cannot chisel away the rock slowly. We will need a dynamite to blow down that mountain. Similarly, to blow down the dynamite of the karmas, to blow down the biggest mountain of the karmas, the dynamite that needs to be used is one of pure dispositions, the Shuddhopayog. And once the Jeev is engrossed, indulged in the purity of the pure soul, all the karmas will slowly shatter away. The Mohaniya karma shatters away when one is engrossed in the purity of the soul. That is the power of renunciation. Because once we are engrossed in the pure soul, everything outside is naturally detached from us. Let us also use this dynamite of Shuddhopayog, of the pure dispositions, and be engrossed in our soul. Uttam Tyaag is not just about suffering. It's about choosing peace. It's about choosing freedom over bondage. When we renounce that which is temporary, that which is transient, we embrace that which is permanent. That's our pure soul. Uttam Tyag is not about poverty, it's about purity. Tyag fortifies ahimsa, which is non-violence, and aparigraha, which is non-possessiveness. It widens our vision, widens our horizons of thought, and helps us to renounce the rigid thinking. It helps us to make space for others' point of views and apply anekantavad in our life, which is multiplicities of vision, plurality of thoughts. Tyag of I am always right is the most difficult, yet the most essential one for us to surrender, for us to renounce on this spiritual journey. Out of all the four states of existence, the narkis, the hellish, the infernal beings are way too busy because of heightened passions of anger, of killing, of hitting, of hurting. Violence is what they are indulging into. So they have no scope to think about upliftment. The heavenly gods are busy indulging in the luxuries, in five sense pleasures. And the ones who have attained self realization, they are waiting, they are craving for human birth. And hence, there is no scope again for them to take to tyag, to take to restraint in that birth. The animal kingdom is struggling for survival. So it's only the humans, it's only we precious in this human birth that we can let go of all our attachments slowly and shatter our karmas. So let us not fear Tyag, let us celebrate it. Just as an elephant who is tied down to a pole with a thick rope. If you go to see, the one end of the rope is attached to the other end. The elephant is still always free. Elephant has all the power to tug itself and let itself loose. Similarly, we have the power to get rid of our karmas through our mindset of detachment. Our soul is a self sufficient entity. Nothing needs to be added or deleted from the soul for its existence. All that we need to give up is our illusion of ownership. With ownership goes attachment too. Let me give you a very simple yet beautiful example and a real life story about a prisoner. He was convicted of a murder, and the murder was done with ice, and that's why it was a very brutal murder. So, his sentence to prison was that he was going to be prison for a month, and then he was going to be put in a freezer for a month. And here is what happened. After his 1 month of prisons, he was moved into the freezer, and eventually he died after the month. There were two reports that came up. The first report said that he died because of freezing, and the second report said he could not die because of freezing. And both the reports were true because the freezer was actually not working. So it was his fear that killed him, his fear of attachment of the outcome that killed the prisoner. Similarly, it is our fear, our attachments to everything in this world that keep us stuck in this cycle of transmigration. On this auspicious day of Dashlakshan Parva, may we all renounce the different layers of illusion and may we step closer to our true, pure, and formless self. And with that, we end our session for today. Thank you, Harshalji.
Thank you so much, Pallavidi. Can you unshare your screen?
Sure. Yeah.
Thank you so much for your beautiful explanation with all these examples which you have quoted. First of all, these examples were so much relevant to all of us, all the listeners to this lecture, all the Jain community people, because the term Tyag, people take it in a very different format, but the meaning is actually different. First of all, there is this Shakti which Pallavi the has already mentioned, that Tyagopadan Shunyatya Shakti. This is the Shakti, this is the power, this is the natural power. No one has given this power to this soul, but this is the power which has been present in all the souls spread across, not to have the ownership of anything. Either karmas are there around, sharir is there around, money is there around, everything is there around, but this due to this power, nothing can be owned by soul. It is swatantra, it is independent. This is what Tyagopadan Shunyatra Shakti mentioned. Usually we think Tyag means to give away something, but what do you think giveaway means is that, as Tyagopadan Shunyatva Shakti mentioned, that you cannot hold something, you cannot get into something. But Tyag means Uttam Tyaag Subhavi Atma Ko Jaan. So that nature you should know, to know the nature of Atma, and that it cannot have anything within. It is Swatantra, it is independent, and knowing the supreme soul, knowing this virtue of dharma, you should become more close to the real essence of your own soul. So this is what Didi also mentioned today. And if you have any queries related to Uttam Tyag Dharma, you can mention in the comment of this video, or you can go to the JEEV portal, and you can also email us your query. We will help you to connect our expert, Pallavidi, and in this way, we will be having further more lectures for the selection dharma which we have. I think we are done for the day. So over to you, Di, for Jinwani Stuti.
Thank you. Sure. निज निधि निज में बता दी यह अनंत उपकार है इसके लिए जिन वाणी माँ को वंदना शत बार है, वंदना शत बार है। जय जय।
Nine
Nine
times Namakar
times.
mantra.